So today I'm going to be demonstrating how to use a cap. Now with the cap, it's for when you want to color pieces of your hair, like little tiny pieces of hair throughout your whole entire head, a different color, whether it's highlights or lowlights. And another good thing about using a cap is it's easy enough to do yourself, and you have control over whether you want to put the highlights only in the front, all around the top of your head, or around your whole head. Or maybe you just want to do some lowlights all around the bottom, or again around your whole head. So I'm just going to start doing this. Now the most important thing is first you want to change your shirt into something that you don't really care about as much. A shirt that you don't mind if you get hair dye on it. So that's step one. Step two is brushing your hair. This part is important because you want to get out all the tangles. If you don't untangle your hair before you use the cap, then the strands of hair won't pull through the cap as easily. So I'm gonna do that. Now this usually comes with the little picks. With this particular one I got two different kinds. I got a plastic one and a metal one, and they look like this. Now these are both different. The metal one has a smaller little hook at the end, and I think it's used for smaller strands of hair, and the plastic one has a bigger hook. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to use yet. Whatever one I think is easier to work with. So you're going to take this. Now there's a side with an elastic and one with a little flap. So you want to take the elastic part, put it in the back of your head, and just put it on like this, just like a little helmet. And I kind of have a hard time hearing when I have these things on, so if I'm talking louder, don't mind me. I'm going to look silly, but you want to make sure it's pretty tight, but not too tight to the point where it's like you're hurting yourself. You don't want it too loose either, because then the strands of hair won't be as close to your head. So that's that. Now I'm going to take my little pick, and on the cap there are some holes have circles around them, some don't, and the reason for this is that some people want to have their highlights more spread out, and other people might want to have like a lot of them, so they give you the option to do only these or all of them or every other, however you want to spread it out. And for me, I'm probably just going to do my whole head. I probably won't do it all in front of you because that will take forever, but this is how it's done. So you take the hook part and you face it upwards, and you just quickly, so this is a new cap, these are reusable, so to break the seal it's going to take a little bit more effort than it would if it were one that you had already used. So this is how it's done. You just kind of, and then if this happens where you get a loop, which does happen if you are new at this, you just kind of pull it through like that, and you just do this all over your head. It doesn't really matter which direction you're going in as long as it's like comfortable for you, because you're gonna have to do this you're gonna have to do it a lot, so it doesn't really matter. Now you don't want to like go straight in and poke your head. You want to have it at an angle, so to the side, so that is you're not just poking straight at your head. You're going in, pulling a little bit of hair, and then coming out with it. So I'm going in about just a few centimeters. You don't want to go too far in because then you'll get too much hair. So this can be tricky. Like that one there, I didn't get enough hair, so I just went back in with it and pushed a little bit further. I don't have my glasses on. Actually, I'll just put them on so that way I can see what I'm doing, because I want to get the hairs that are in the ones that are in the circles. I don't want to have too much. And if you decide when you're done with this that you want to have like more pieces of hair, you can always do more circles. I mean, fill in more holes. It's fine if it does look like this, because what you can do is just take your brush and just kind of brush the loops out after. So that's really no big deal if that happens. It's nice to have someone to help, especially when it comes to the back, because it does get a little tricky when you get to that point, but I usually just use a mirror or feel around or see what I can do. If your hook is not facing up, then all you're going to end up doing is poking a hole in, and it's not going to grab any hair. So you really need to make sure that the hook is facing the ceiling, just like that. Took me a while to get the hang of this, but I've done it quite a few times, so I know what I'm doing. You might not want to mix the hair dye that you're using until after you're done with this, because it takes so long. You don't really want to leave your hair dye just sitting there, because it'll start to process on you, and I think you're supposed to use it right away, or right after it's completely mixed. So we'll just save that until after you're done. It does get a little hot in here, so one of the disadvantages of wearing glasses, one of the many. So I'm just going to continue to do this all around my head, about every one of these holes that are outlined in a circle. And it is kind of a pain, but it is a good way to do it yourself. You don't want to spend the money on a hairdresser, which I never do. So you start to look really crazy at a certain point, because you have all these little strands of hair sticking out of your head. So I'm not going to waste your time by doing the rest of them now, but I will finish the rest of my head. And I'm just going to talk about what I'll do next. So when you have the desired amount of strands of hair sticking out, what you're going to do is mix your hair dye. I'm going to be doing like an ashy blonde to match my roots, just so it looks a little bit more natural. But you can do any color that you want, and then you just kind of take your hair dye and put it, obviously you only put it on the strands that are out. And the good thing about having plastic on your head is that you can just kind of like wrap it up and stick it on there until the time that it says to rinse it off. And when it's time to rinse your dye out of your hair, you take this off, and you're just going to kind of like pull it off, slide it through. It does come off. You want to be careful when you're putting the hair dye on. You don't want to like mess up and tangle your hair too much, because then you'll have a harder time getting the cap off. So just carefully take it off. It's okay if the hair dye touches the rest of your head, as long as it's not on there for too long. And then you want to quickly rinse your hair, and then when you're finished, you should be able to get the desired look that you want. So it's that simple. Hopefully this was helpful.